Well, I was a Red Cross volunteer, and I saw the account on television in the morning, and they asked me, what were you doing when the explosion occurred? And I said I was packing my suitcase because I knew they would send me.
I've been trained in driving the Red Cross's emergency response vehicle that they call an IRV, and they had a call out that they needed emergency response drivers, and so my name was on the list, and I was called, made the arrangements with the airline, and within a day or two of saying that I was available, I was on my way.
My first assignment was a phone bank where we answered questions for people that had been involved with the incident, and hopefully had answers for where to go for help or air quality, for example.
So the actual feeding of the people at the site were being taken care of by other groups, or there wasn't as many of them. It was the workers, the firefighters and all those working there, but there was the hundreds, if not thousands, of people who had been put out of their jobs and displaced that were still there, and we were taking food and drink to the areas where they were being serviced, the old AT&T building, the Mercantile building, and others. And I had the experience of driving a truck through downtown New York City every day.
I was there for 2 weeks the first time. The second time I was did casework. The persons that were involved in the incident that needed help with, primarily I was involved with the medical care and monies for medical expenses. And the third time I went for 3 weeks, and it was the mop up. I wanted it to be over, and I said, what can I do for this to be done? And we went to visit the homes of people that had been missed the first and second time around, and made sure that they were okay.
We're mostly delivering peanuts and candy bars and snack kind of items to the people that were standing in line to be taken care of.
Well, I've been to 30 different Red Cross disasters. The worst disaster that I was to was the Oklahoma City tornadoes. There were quite a few tornadoes, and they killed 40 people. And it was, I worked one-on-one with a lot of people, and it was very, very devastating. Comparing it to the 9/11, I personally didn't know anyone that was involved, which helped a lot.
All the volunteers that I was working with were from all over the United States, and they'd all had similar training to the training I had in emergency response vehicle driving.
We did was casework. We wrote out checks for monies for people that were injured. We had to make a case for our supervisors to be sure that it went to the people who needed it. We were good stewards of the Red Cross dollar. Somebody asked me, we had a family that ran from the disaster. Their house was had all the dust in it. The father had a heart attack, the child sprained his ankle, and my supervisor said, why do you think these people should have this money? And I said, of all people, I think the Red Cross dollar, the Red Cross dollar donor would want these people to have this money.
The thing that got me and kind of still gets me was how much the Red Cross was appreciated by the law enforcement and everybody. They had guards at all the tunnels with the automatic weapons and everything, and I was going to go back through the tunnel, and this young cop motioned for me to pull over to the side, and I really wanted to just go back and rest, but you had to do it because these vehicles would make a good bomb. And So I pulled over and rolled down the window, and he says, "Do you have any cookies?" And yeah, I did. And yeah, it was a good experience.
The thing I found about New York City, and I was there especially right before Christmas, was it was very, very quiet. Quiet. Nobody talking, nobody shopping. Streets were bare. Quiet.
There was a little restaurant downtown that the guy had totally closed it up for regular business, and it was opened up strictly for firefighters and people to come and rest. And it was Nino's, and you could go, it was 24 hours a day, and the firefighters or whoever was working on the pile could come in and sit down, have coffee, lunch, and everything before they'd go back. It had became kind of a celebrity kind of place. The firefighters could go in and there'd be an opera star or a movie star or somebody from Broadway, or maybe even the mayor would be standing in the line serving the food, and entertainment almost every night. Well, an old Jewish rabbi who was every time you drive one of these herbs, you have to have a navigator or somebody with you. You never went out by yourself. And I had this old rabbi with me, and he taught me a lot about this sort of thing. He said, always keep something back for yourself. So I always had those cookies right there. And he introduced me to the people at Nino's, so I went in there. And we had a lot of college kids who had volunteered their Christmas vacation to come down and work. They were from northern New York City, most of them. And I had an opportunity one time. There's this young gal she couldn't have read a map if she had to, but she was really good at landmarks. And she would say, turn left at that post or this or that. She probably had the map upside down. But anyway, there was a chance for lunchtime. We were Nino's was right at Canal Street in Varsity. And there was a fairly good parking lot area there. And there were some open spots because usually it's full of fire trucks. And so I pulled in and I took her in, and we went through the line and we're having a meal. And the place was full of, it was never, a lot of people were talking. There's never any loud laughter or anything like that. It was solemn. All the pictures of all 343 dead firefighters was on the wall, and and a lot of placemats that kids had made from all over the United States and had mailed them in, and just all kinds of things that reminded you of why we were there. And we were sitting there eating, and the young lady was getting pretty choked up. And all of a sudden, this young firefighter came down and sat down next to her and kissed her on the cheek, and got up and left. And then both of us cried.